On a cold and stormy night, four friends set out on a cross-country road trip. Jake, Lisa, Mark, and Emily were excited for the adventure ahead. They packed their car, a vintage black sedan, and hit the highway. The rain relentlessly pounded on the windshield as they drove into the darkness. Part 2, the abandoned rest stop. Hours passed, and fatigue began to take its toll. Spotting a dimly lit sign for a rest stop, they pulled over to take a break. The rest stop appeared eerily deserted, and an unsettling feeling washed over them. The air was thick with tension as they stepped out of the car. Inside the rest stop, they found a faded map displaying the highway they were traveling on. To their horror, the map showed a section that didn't exist. It was marked as the Phantom Stretch. Bewildered and unnerved, they decided to continue driving, hoping to put the odd encounter behind them. Part 3, the unseen passenger. As they resumed their journey, strange occurrences began to unfold. They heard faint whispers in the back seat, yet no one else was there. Mark noticed an unsettling figure in the rearview mirror, but every time he turned around, it disappeared. Fear consumed them, and they tried to ignore the unexplainable events. Part 4, the ghostly hitchhiker. Amidst the pouring rain, they saw a hitchhiker on the side of the road, seemingly stranded. Torn between empathy and fear, they decided to pick her up. The hitchhiker had a pale complexion and vacant eyes, but she didn't speak a word. The atmosphere inside the car grew even colder with her presence. Part 5, the haunting highway. As they ventured further, the surroundings morphed into an otherworldly landscape. The trees along the highway seemed to twist into grotesque shapes, and strange fog enveloped the road. The headlights revealed eerie silhouettes dancing on the periphery, but nothing was there when they looked directly. Part 6, a glimpse into the past. They stumbled upon an old abandoned gas station. Through the dusty windows, they saw a reflection of their car, but it was aged and rusted. Shaken, they entered the station, and its walls whispered dark secrets of the past. A chilling vision emerged, a tragic accident that had occurred on this very stretch of road many years ago. Part 7, trapped in the loop. As the night wore on, they realized they were trapped in a never-ending loop. No matter how far they drove, they couldn't escape the haunting highway. The hitchhiker remained stoic, seemingly aware of their fate. Panic and despair gripped their hearts as hope seemed to fade away. Part 8, confronting the entity. Determined to break free, they decided to confront the entity responsible for their torment. They discovered an old graveyard near the highway and realized the hitchhiker was a spirit seeking revenge for her untimely death. They needed to lay her soul to rest to end the curse. Part 9, the ritual. With the help of an old ritual book they found, they performed a ceremony to free the hitchhiker's soul. The atmosphere grew thick with energy as they chanted ancient incantations. The hitchhiker's tormented spirit finally found peace, and her apparition faded away. Part 10, breaking the curse. Relieved, they thought the curse had been lifted, but the highway's grip on them remained strong. Realizing the curse was bound to the road itself, they had no choice but to confront the road's malevolent force. The highway twisted and contorted as they faced the embodiment of their worst nightmares. Part 11, escape from darkness. In a final, heart-pounding effort, they managed to break free from the ghostly highway. As they drove away, the road slowly reverted to its normal appearance, and the fog lifted. The nightmare was finally over. Part 12, the aftermath. Exhausted and shaken, they continued their journey to their original destination. They learned the importance of respecting the unknown and the power of seeking closure for restless spirits. The memories of that haunting highway would stay with them forever, reminding them to be cautious on their future drives. It was a dark and stormy night when Sarah set out on a long drive to visit her family. The rain was pouring down, and the wind howled like a restless spirit. As she entered the desolate stretch of highway known for its eerie history, a feeling of unease washed over her. She had heard tales of accidents and disappearances on this road, but Sarah dismissed them as mere superstitions. As Sarah drove further, the rain seemed to intensify, obscuring her vision. Her heart pounded as she noticed a mysterious figure standing on the roadside, partially hidden by the dense fog. Fear gripped her, and she decided to slow down to avoid any unforeseen dangers. But as she passed the figure, it vanished into thin air, leaving her trembling and bewildered. Trying to shake off the unsettling encounter, Sarah continued her journey. The road seemed never-ending, and the darkness enveloped her like a suffocating shroud. She caught glimpses of strange shadows flitting across her peripheral vision, and chilling whispers seemed to echo inside her car. Each time she turned to look, there was nothing there. As the night wore on, Sarah's sense of time began to blur. She couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, and an inexplicable dread gnawed at her soul. Suddenly, her headlights flickered, and the engine sputtered. She pulled over to check, but the car's electrical systems seemed inexplicably fine. An eerie silence engulfed her surroundings, broken only by the distant howls of the wind. Sarah tried to restart her car, but it wouldn't budge. Panic rising, she grabbed her phone to call for help, but there was no signal. She was stranded in the heart of nowhere, surrounded by an unsettling darkness. In the distance, she noticed faint lights flickering like fireflies. Hoping to find help, Sarah ventured into the dense woods from where the lights emanated. The branches reached out like gnarled fingers, and the ground felt uneven, as if each step was guided by an unseen force. The lights seemed to be leading her deeper into the forest, far from the safety of the road. As she ventured further, Sarah became aware of an eerie presence all around her. She heard whispers, cries, and the echo of footsteps that followed her every move. Fear clutched her heart as the shadows seemed to dance maliciously, taking on sinister forms. She tried to retrace her steps, but the path had vanished, leaving her hopelessly lost. The haunting sounds intensified, driving her to the brink of madness. She stumbled upon an abandoned cabin, its windows shattered and doors creaking ominously in the wind. Reluctantly, she stepped inside, seeking refuge from the horrors that lurked outside. Inside, Sarah found old, weathered photographs and journal entries scattered on the floor. The entries spoke of a tragic accident that occurred on the very same highway she had been driving on. The victims' spirits were said to roam the road, seeking revenge on anyone who dared to tread their cursed path. As Sarah read on, she became increasingly aware of a chilling presence behind her. She turned around slowly, her heart pounding in her throat. Before her stood the ghostly figures of the accident victims, their eyes filled with sorrow and rage. Terrified, Sarah tried to escape, but the spirits blocked her path. They whispered tales of sorrow and loss, recounting their tragic fate and the pain they endured. Their icy grip tightened around her, draining her strength and will to live. With a last burst of courage, Sarah broke free from the spirit's grasp and ran for her life. She stumbled through the dark woods, branches clawing at her, until she finally reached the road again. The rain had stopped, and the moon cast an eerie glow on the highway. Exhausted and disoriented, Sarah flagged down a passing car. As the driver offered her a ride, he seemed strangely familiar. As they drove away, she couldn't shake the feeling that she had met him before. Years later, Sarah still shivers at the memory of that night. She never found out who the driver was or how she made it out alive. Some say she's never been the same since, haunted by the ghostly encounters on that cursed highway. And to this day, the legend of the haunting highway continues to spread, warning travelers to avoid the desolate stretch after dark. In the remote town of Ravensbrook, nestled between thick woods and a treacherous mountain range, a haunting tale of driving horror unfolded. The locals whispered chilling stories about an ancient highway that cut through the heart of the woods. Known as the Specter Road, this cursed route was said to be haunted by vengeful spirits and malevolent creatures. Amelia, an adventurous soul with a penchant for unraveling mysteries, had recently moved to Ravensbrook. Fascinated by the town's dark folklore, she was determined to explore the infamous Specter Road. Armed with a reliable old car, she set out one foggy evening, her heart pounding with both fear and excitement. As Amelia entered the woods, the atmosphere changed drastically. A dense mist enveloped her car, making visibility almost non-existent. The road seemed to stretch endlessly, winding and twisting like a snake in the dark. The engine hummed nervously, as if sensing the unease in its driver. Suddenly, strange shapes flitted across the road. Amelia glimpsed eerie shadows, sinister specters, and glowing eyes lurking in the trees. Her heart raced, and her grip tightened on the steering wheel. She reminded herself that they were just tricks of the mind, but the unease in her gut persisted. As she continued, the forest seemed to come alive, whispering ominous secrets that sent shivers down her spine. The trees seemed to reach out for her car, their skeletal branches clawing at the windows. A bone-chilling sensation crept through the vehicle, causing Amelia to shudder uncontrollably. Unnerved but undeterred, she pressed on, determined to unravel the mysteries of Spectre Road. The winding path led her deeper into the darkness, the air heavy with an otherworldly presence. Her headlights flickered, casting eerie shadows that seemed to dance on the road before disappearing into the surrounding gloom. The radio crackled to life, emitting an eerie tune that sent goosebumps up her arms. Static and strange voices filled the car, whispering words that she couldn't comprehend. In a panic, Amelia tried to turn the radio off, but the knob refused to budge. She felt trapped, as if the darkness itself was closing in on her. Suddenly, a pale figure appeared in front of her car. Amelia slammed on the brakes, but the car seemed to glide right through the specter. Her heart pounded as she realized she had just encountered one of the infamous ghosts rumored to haunt the road. With trembling hands, she reached for her phone, hoping to call for help, but there was no signal. She was alone, surrounded by malevolent spirits and unknown terrors. The darkness seemed to close in around her, suffocating and menacing. The road ahead seemed to stretch endlessly, a never-ending labyrinth designed to torment its victims. Every turn she took led her deeper into the heart of the cursed woods. Fear and desperation consumed her, but she clung to the faint hope of finding her way out. Hours passed, but the eerie journey showed no sign of ending. Amelia's mind played cruel tricks on her, distorting reality and blurring the lines between what was real and what was a mere illusion. The headlights revealed ghastly sights that vanished as soon as they appeared, leaving her questioning her sanity. Just when Amelia thought she could bear no more, a faint glimmer of hope appeared in the distance. A dim light broke through the darkness, like a beacon guiding her towards safety. She accelerated towards it, feeling a mix of relief and trepidation. As she drew nearer, the light revealed a small cabin tucked away in a clearing. Amelia cautiously approached, her heart still pounding, unsure if this was a haven or another trap set by the malevolent forces that haunted the road.